Previously on X-Men.
Just gonna throw a wrench into this.
What do you got?
Because I was gonna say, like, you know, I was gonna throw you the Cyclops fight right now.
Yes,
we're immediately we're gonna have it. We're gonna have it, Kareem, and I'd rather have it sooner rather than later.
Let's get this going.
Why do you hate Cyclops so much?
Because he's a bitch. Moving on.
No, you give me an answer. Would you call Superman a bitch?
Yes.
What?
And I like Superman. The problem with Cyclops is that he was neutered by Xavier, and maybe this is, you know, as I've gotten older, and I think Pat can attest to this, I've actually grown an appreciation for Cyclops. Something I didn't have obviously as a kid watching this, because I didn't understand the multi-layered things that were going on at play. Like, again, Xavier neuters Cyclops, and then everyone else disrespects him on the show, and that's as far as real talk as I can get as far as Cyclops. So I never respected him as a character, because as the supposed leader, he never had a plan that was executed. No one ever listened to him, and he was always like crying about his like woman who kept trying to cheat on him. Of all those things, I was like, why would I like this character?
Those tables turned. There's some turntables there, isn't there?
I would say though, right? You know, and to give Kareem some ammo right now at this point too, right? Cyclops is basically a child who was placed under a cult leader's care, and then like was trained to be his lieutenant.
Yeah.
And I think they make that point a lot in more recent comics.
Mm-hmm.
But also at one point you're also an adult, and maybe, you know, like go to therapy, make your own choices. I don't know, man.
I agree.
We all know the risks of being an X-Man.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like I unfairly, because again, I wasn't, Cyclops, because again, I didn't understand all of the things that were going on at play. You know, when I would read a comic book, when I'd read a character or watch a show or things like that and focus in on him, I'd focus in on just the character for the most part, and anything that was orbiting him, I was kind of like, if it doesn't really affect his personality or change the outcome of his storyline, then I don't really care for it. So when you look at someone like a Gambit, I'm like, he's a pretty succinct character, at least on the show. Like, you don't really need to go into his backstory in order for him to still be cool. When you do, it kind of, you know, explains some other things about him. Cyclops, I'm like, you have to kind of, like you said, go into his backstory about how he was basically plucked as a child from this manipulative bald guy who can't walk, and then given a team.
Why did you say that so mean, dude?
Because as
like,
I've
it's
gotten
his
older,
choice. Like he's playing it for like sympathy. Like, no, I could, but I don't. Like, watch this. They're gonna buy this. Like,
Ingrate, incompetent fool, Professor. You're
wow.
Would you hold on? But would you put it past Charles Xavier?
thank you.
I mean,
To
this
put it
is
in
not to
everyone's head.
disparage.
Yeah, to put
anyone
everyone's head that this is what they're
that's
seeing.
disabled. This is literally just that is an anti-Charles Xavier.
And I just think that goes to like the idea of there's a fine line between mentor and monster.
Yeah, and Xavier is
Charles
monster
Xavier
most of the
has
time.
literally shit on that line
Oh yeah.
since the beginning. That man has
Yeah.
never met someone whose mind he didn't want to read within 2 seconds.
Oof.
I also think this goes back to my preteen, I guess, is it age time, or preteen. You know, you're not wanting to follow or obey authority, and Cyclops represents exactly that. He's basically your cop version, or your narc put into the group. He goes and runs back to Xavier about everything, and you have your rogue characters like Wolverine and Gambit that were like, "Fuck it, I'll do whatever I want when I want." I'm like, what kid wouldn't want to follow that?
Yeah.
He
I
was
don't
like,
know.
he was the hall monitor at that age. Like, that
Very
was the
much
guy
so.
who's like, nobody in the halls. Like, dude, you are a student. You can kiss my ass.
And the
Like-
teacher retired seven years ago. Shut up. Rules
Some
are
of us
there
need
for a
role
reason.
models, guys.
Yeah, and I had it in Spider-Man, and I whipped away.
Oof.
To my hatred of Cyclops, I'm gonna let Pat go ahead and defend him.
I don't even know if I want to go into a deep dive defend. It's just so no, it's not even that. It's just the description of Cyclops, I can't argue against. Yeah, he is the cop. He's the leader. He's also the responsible one, the one trying to keep everybody on point and alive. Kind of important. I'm just knowing what I know now about the character from the comics. It's just such a stark contrast to where that character goes, basically becoming a radical vigilante separatist with reason to do so. It's just the moment Xavier is finally taken out of the way, even for a little while, and he is allowed to grow. Now, the biggest thing you could say about Cyclops, he is an awful husband. And I think any Cyclops fan has to admit that, like, he's a bad dad and a bad husband. You can't defend him on that level.
Can we name one X-Men that is a responsible parent / partner in life?
Jubilee.
Can we name one comic book character? But we'll limit it to Marvel, because the majority, even my favorite Spider-Man, has issues that because they're like, well, we need to throw some drama in there, so let's make him have a deal with the devil. But then let's pin it on his wife because we're jerks. Like, but yeah, there's.
You limited me to Marvel because I was definitely going to say Stripe.
Stripe, who's that?
Oh my gosh, Stargirl's stepdad.
Oh yes, okay, yeah,
yeah.
DC, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Because I was like, yeah, she's in danger, but also he is actually mentoring her and he cares. But yeah, I'm really racking my brain right now to think who's a good dad.
That's best dad. We said husbands. That's a different question.
Okay,
husband.
Well, we said parent / partner.
Well,
Gambit
let's
is
stick
a
with
good
partner.
husband.
Well, yeah,
he was always faithful to Rogue. Like he had Mystique hitting at him hard with like multiple personalities.
Whoa. I'm sorry. Could you say that correctly? He had Rogue's surrogate mother hitting on him and pretending to be Rogue
and
as a reward for not succumbing to temptation.
But also pretending to be another person. Fox, there was she assumed another identity.
Yeah,
still hit on him, and he's like, "No, stop this. This isn't right. I have someone." And Gambit was like, when he was like, "We're together. It's me and you. Ride or die. We're to the end."
Yeah,
he was dedicated.
And I feel like Cyclops would have been that, except he didn't have the luxury of Gambit's lurid past to kind of lean back on. Gambit's like, I've had enough of your pussy I've ever wanted.
Nope.
So I can stay faithful. Cyclops is like, you're my high school sweetheart, and if you leave me, my life will be destroyed.
Oh wait, who's this blonde?
Oh God. Hey guys,
this is what another woman feels like. See you later, Gene.
What's up, Jason?
We could talk about the Gambit hour.
We could talk about the Gambit hour. We could also just sit here and praise Cyclops and just see if they ever watch the episode and be like, "Oh wow, you guys actually really love Cyclops. That's really nice of you."
Well, that's kind of what I was hitting towards anyway. Is that as I've gotten older, I've actually become a fan of Cyclops. I do the X-Men versus Avengers stuff. Even and then the consequences or whatever the follow-up.
Schism. There's I see AVX consequences. Yeah, right. That was a sub series during the AVX storyline.
It was whatever when he was in prison and stuff.
Okay, yeah. I think there's also the storyline Schism too, where it's like after Professor X passes away. I think Jean is gone too at that point. And so that there's a schism between Wolverine and Cyclops, and they talk about how the X-Men should be led. Should the school be for educating, or should it be for training?
Yes.
And that's like there's as time goes on, we give Cyclops new stories and new opportunities to develop his character more. But that's also just a consequence of just additional time. Like when we talk about this X-Men cartoon, we have a finite amount of time. We have 5 years. Whereas so that's like they're locked into a certain time frame in our heads, and that's where they are.
Well, that was part of what I was getting towards when I said that I felt bad for Cyclops, having gotten older now and kind of understood his role, or at least what was being asked of him through all the circumstances, is that you also get the misguided, I guess, mentorship from Xavier.
Another alien ship coming through? So it seems.
It's time you told us everything you know, Professor.
I've told you all I can. All that makes any sense.
Well, that's not good enough. Gene's lying in there because you sent us in blind against something that almost destroyed us. Because you failed to warn
You
us.
had all the information then available. A good leader doesn't have to be warned to be on his guard.
Are you saying it's my fault?
Like, as you mentioned, should the school be for education or should it be for training? I'm like, he should have, I mean, for a man who's apparently got a limitless wealth, have a clear distinction. One, because it's just safer for his students. And two, it's less of a liability. I felt like he went the Saban route and was like, oh, you can do earth-shattering moves and abilities. Why don't you come over here and do some training with us versus like, no, you came here to learn. I'm not going to turn you into a weapon.
Are we talking about Professor X?
Yeah, and then being an asshole.
Where
Everyone's a weapon.
Right.
Yeah.
And how he chose to develop those students when he could have taken them in different ways. And also it was also bouncing off of the Schism storyline where there's that divide in the X-Men.
Yeah. You mean where Wolverine becomes the cop?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where
so
Wolverine
weird.
becomes the good schoolboy and says, no, these are students, these are children. We shouldn't be training them to be militant. And Cyclops is like, no, they need to protect themselves. If they're old enough to experience racism, then people should be taught about racism and know that it exists. And they introduce critical mutant thinking.
I know the other schools, and I'll tell you what, you will not find an environment like you've got here.
Which I want out of schools.
Yeah.
That's also during the decimation, right?
Decimation.
We're still decimated at that point.
It was post decimation, so they're also starting. That was also post Hope, so the mutants were starting to come back. Yeah, they're starting to go in an upswing. So
okay, because Cyclops's stance of we have to militarize, it makes a lot more sense in a post decimation world where your numbers are so small. Like, no, we can't afford to just play along. If we do so, we will cease to exist. They will just they need 200 bullets. Well, yeah, because at that point Magneto was decimated. 200 bullets.
Yeah, I mean, what two for Wolverine because he's still around. So, but yeah, I get your point.
All right, that's
like
fair.
It only takes X amount. Yeah, it's only going to be. They're an endangered species. That's what they acknowledge that in the books is that at that point they have a limited amount of that. Just like it's an extinction level event. That's what it is.
Well, that's the other thing. Go ahead, Pat.
That's their second extinction level event in 6 years, because Morrison, with Genosha and everything.
Yeah,
as a big ass Sentinel.
Well, that's the other thing I guess we can talk about on the show, or maybe what to Jason gets back was the Sentinels and Genosha stuff pulled from the cartoon?
No.
Okay.
The Sentinels and Genosha both existed prior to that. Genosha went over some changes during the comics run as well.
Okay.
So they didn't start out. I'm sorry. It wasn't as it was in the comics where it's like, oh, it's a resort. No, it's not. We got you. It was
an apartheid state.
Yeah. And then and then over time things changed and then eventually became the safe haven to a degree.
Well, Magneto basically held the world hostage and said, give me Genosha.
Yeah. And
this
is post Asteroid M. And this is as time progressed, you had the story like, oh, now it's here. Then it's Utopia. And then after that, we have this. And it's like, I don't know why they thought that was going to work again, but they went with Utopia.
Utopia.
Yeah.
Because it sounds good. Just rolls off the tongue. It's perfect branding.
But now we got Krakoa with drugs.
Isn't that falling apart from what I'm reading?
I'm not up to date, so I don't know.
I'm about a month behind, so I don't know what's going on in Inferno right now. But I mean, they did the right thing of like, oh, well, what if we just buy into the economic system and use monies? It's like, oh, that works really well.
I mean, are they using monies though?
Yeah,
I feel like they don't need money for anything.
They don't need it, but it controls the world though.
Yeah.
They don't need it for them, but they need it for everything else, and they have all the monies.
Do they?
Yeah.
That's what what's her name's in charge of, right?
Beyonce?
The diamond. What's her, no?
White Queen, Emma.
White Queen,
Emma
right?
Frost.
Yeah.
Emma Frost is in charge of one wing of it. Angel and Monet St. Croix, I never say it right, are in charge of another.
Okay.
Is it
wing of it.
Monet St. Croix?
Yeah.
Is it St. Croix?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I'm
Saint
never gonna
Croix,
say it right.
Saint Croix.
It's like
Yeah.
LaCroix.
It's yes, that shitty ass seltzer.
Wow, this we came full circle on that one. Like, oh,
It
seltzer again.
Well,
How
I mean,
dare
at least the
they?
other seltzers have like they're all like, oh, we'll splash them like, strawberry or grapefruit or something, nice. LaCroix is like, oh, did you want bubbled coconut water?
Well, we looked at a coconut and put some suntan lotion in this.
Ooh.
Yeah,
These are
that's
some
pretty-
hot LaCroix takes.
I always heard the best reference was it's like someone said pineapple in the other room while you drank the water. That was probably the best comparison.
That's
That
pretty
is-
good.
That's pretty
That's
accurate.
pretty good.
You're just
I like that.
someone said, oh, or someone washed fruit in this, and not even like an open, just like washed it itself.
Do you guys have a favorite storyline from the cartoon?
So anyway, that's my take on 9/11.
No. No. I knew I was gonna walk into some white nonsense.
It really dovetails nicely into the QAnon stuff.
Oh god.
Some white knots.
All right, Kareem, you were asking a real question.
Just do any of you guys have a favorite storyline from the cartoon?
Is the first episode where Jubilee's at the mall and then like you see the
Yeah.
Sentinels for the first time?
Is it Night of the
Night of the
Sentinels or
Sentinels,
something?
yeah, that's
Yeah, so although I can't think of like a because I loved a lot of the storylines itself as well, I just remember seeing that episode for the first time and it being such a visceral reaction because I'm like, oh, you're a teenager in a mall and you're trying to have fun and you're wearing a raincoat for some reason.
Bright yellow.
Holy shit.
And then
The sleeves rolled up.
doesn't one of the Sentinels like peel the freaking mall
Yeah.
roof?
And it like uses his like robotic tentacle hand thingy to grab her.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it's it's so good too because like as you say that in my head, like her powers short out the video game, and he's like, you know how much that costs? And she's like, yeah, a quarter. Walks off.
David Caruso.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
exits.
Yeah, predating David Caruso, but she's just like pulls down the pink sunglasses and is just like, yeah, a quarter, and walks off like a badass.
What's wrong with being a mutant anyway? No, not again!
Hey, you! You know how much that game costs?
Yeah, a quarter.
You're one of them, ain't you?
I think that so in terms of favorite stories, did anyone else have anything I had something that pinged off that. I don't know if anybody else had a thought.
No, mine was Days of Future Past, just because it actually involved Gambit a lot more. It introduced Bishop to me. Like I didn't really know who he was beforehand.
No,
And it was
Yeah,
a
'cause
cool
it's-
like time traveling story.
It's because Bishop thinks that it's Gambit's fault for the timeline, right?
Yeah, which really
Yeah.
pissed me off.
He's like, why did they put this cool character trying to take out my favorite character?
I'm
This
like,
isn't
yeah,
good.
They put
Shouldn't
both
it
my
be
worlds against
Cyclops?
each other.
Shouldn't it be that schoolboy Cyclops who
Yeah.
sold them out?
Take out the white guy.
I mean,
Never. Have you not learned anything?
that was the setup. And although, have you not learned anything? Because in the end, it was the white guy, Professor X.
Yeah.
Onslaught.
Well, this is all adding up way too nicely.
To hate Professor X. Yeah.
I am always partial to the Phoenix Saga episodes and
Mm.
also anything with Apocalypse.
Cause you like Lilandra?
Lilandra, I must go to Cassidy Keep. The fate of the galaxy hangs in the balance.
Landra's any space stuff's always fun, but
Plus, that haircut kind of does it for me. I'm not going to lie to you guys.
The triangle, whatever that was.
Silverhawks.
Oh man, I cannot wait for the Silverhawks. Just like Quicksilver. Like I can't wait for that episode. Cannot
Just
wait
for that.
Can't wait to talk about my mom stealing the pilot tape from Major Video in Lancaster.
For you, or was she
Your
watching
mom
it herself?
is a boss, and I love it.
I appreciate it.
She just decided not to return that. I think we liked it too much. So,
Fair enough.
Very cool.
My freedoms.
But
Apocalypse was really great in the show. I mean, he's
Yeah.
very much that like Doctor Doom, just like his dialogue was just written all in caps. Like, and
It's-
somehow, yeah.
like at least once an episode, I am Apocalypse. He grows like, yeah, that's
Passes away. Together we shall forge a new one in fire and blood. Those who oppose me shall perish through my agents of destruction. From the ashes of this world, I will build a better one. Go forth, my horsemen.
very broad strokes. I enjoy him very much.
Could someone please explain to me what Apocalypse's actual mutant power is?
No.
Oh, Jesus.
Malleable form.
Nope.
Yeah.
Is the
Is that what it is?
Technically, it's matter manipulation.
Nope.
Okay, that makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah.
He's Ant-Man.
Hell no!
no. So
Like knockoff molecule man?
yeah, but so like he can alter himself. He can alter other things, and like he can like it's kind of the like Scarlet Witch that your powers are yes. Like what do you
That's all I want to hear.
Yes.
what are his powers?
That's all I
Whatever they
better
want, he
hear
wants
is
them to be.
yes.
Okay, like
That's all
why are you
What's
questioning
the writer
Apocalypse?
need right now?
Well, I think being considered the first mutant just gives him everything.
Yes, yeah. Was he? I don't know if he's the
There's-
first mutant.
There is
Well,
debate
that's what
on
he
this.
says over and over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he says he's the first mutant. Celine would like to have a word with him.
Wouldn't also, so, as some might know
Well-
him, Namor or Namor, the
Well,
submariner.
no, but we're not talking about first mutant to debut. We're talking about first mutant in terms of timeline. Now, X Avengers 1 billion BC, whatever crap Jason Aaron came up with. I'm sure there's a mutant somewhere in there, but
Yeah, and his name was Apocalypse.
His name was Anebsor.
But
God
no.
damn you.
And Senor. I'm not. I'm just now. I'm just offending
It
our
sound-
Egyptian
honestly,
audience.
it sounds like
You
yeah.
are.
You're
We've just lost all of them.
Is it Abensor?
Abensor. Thank you.
No.
No,
'cause
that's the Green Lantern.
Yeah, it's Green
That's-
Lantern.
why can't the way you've said it has made me forget?
Yeah. Inside. I'm just gonna look it up. If that's the right thing to do.
Sabanor.
Thank you.
Sabanor. Okay, gotcha.
You guys could have just said Apocalypse.
I mean,
Man,
it could have, but
come
we got to
on,
flex
fair
our
point.
nerd brain a little bit
Just
and
trying
then get it wrong. So
Wow,
So
man.
wrong.
Use his proper names. Get it right.
yeah.
It's like lifting a weight and dropping it on your foot.
There. Oh man. Most depressing thing about looking up Apocalypse is that Ivan Ooze is the first thing to pop up.
Oh, what? Come on.
And then
Yeah.
it's the card from the original X-Men Fleer Ultra series.
Oh, when you
That's X plus.
when you guys inevitably do a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie show,
Mhm.
please invite me back on because I have a lot to say about that film.
I feel like it's just more Saban bashing.
Oh yeah, it's going to be an hour and a half of Saban bashing. That's it.
And another thing.
Do we
Speaking
know
of,
why Apocalypse's suit has the hoses everywhere?
Keep him alive. He's
They
old
look sick as shit.
without it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
Oh, yeah.
wondered.
It's a cool design.
Looks sick as shit.
So that
'Cause
the
they
toy
didn't-
could have these like stretchable arms and then the
Yeah.
pipes get to go. "Wah." He's awesome.
Okay. Just I did.
Yes,
I didn't know
more
if there
sound
was something
effects.
in
I'm
the
sorry.
That
show.
was twice. That's twice.
The more you think about
like watching
Apocalypse,
Police
the less
Academy over
sense
here.
it makes.
God damn it, stop that!
You have to not think about it and go, all right, survival of the fittest it is.
Okay, with his weird robotic mouth that
Keep
goes to his-
talking and we're going to
his
have to
ears.
discuss it. And then we're all going to get confused. We're going to get headaches.
Okay. So I got mine as Days of Future Past. Ken had his, or was it you or no? It was
Jason
Jason
had
has-
his.
I
90
talked about
Sentinels.
the first episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you two were left.
Patrick said his was the Shi'ar stuff and the
Oh, that's right.
Dark
you're right,
Phoenix.
yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
Which leaves you, Ken.
Um,
Pick something good.
I would say, like, for me, I'm trying
No
to
pressure.
Yeah.
Nothing dumb.
I'm gonna say all the B storyline when he's in jail.
That's a pity, old friend.
God
that's
damn
the
you. That was the dumbest thing you could have said. Of all the things.
So just him reading
Yeah.
Upside
and
down.
refusing to be broken
Read upside
out.
and read it for yeah, there you go. That's the story. Probably Night of the Sentinels is pretty solid.
Okay.
Episodes 1 and
It's
2.
a hell of a debut.
It is.
really
It is. It's strong. And like this, the exceedingly 90s of like where it's essentially Ed 209 is saying like stop mutant, and he's like certainly not, and he pulls up his visor and shoots him with an optic blast because that's Cyclops not.
That's probably the
Which, by
coolest
the way,
Cyclops has ever
first
been.
joke Cyclops ever made.
Yeah.
Last joke Cyclops ever
Yeah,
made.
probably the last one. Probably the last
Yeah.
one. Let's be
Oh,
fair.
they took him aside after, like, hey,
You
man,
can't do that. You can't do when we're on mission. You can't say things like
Yeah,
that.
you're
I
not-
can't keep you. I can't take this
Yeah.
seriously.
I saw it on TV. No, you didn't. You
No
don't
more
watch
TV for you,
Shut up.
Scott. Here's a book. Don't read it upside down.
Jean Grey just wiped it from his mind.
Ah. Well, she learned from the best.
Yeah.
Oh
Ooh.
God, dark.
Hey guys, Jean's just as bad. All right, in terms of the mind wiping and reading
Let's
stuff.
be honest. All the mind people are the worst.
This.
You're ready to act. Great.
No, I love you, Professor X. I want you to take me right here, right now. How dare you! Don't you ever control me with your mind again.
I can control lots of you with my mind. Like, think of me as a giant psychic vibrator.
Okay. So
Try to defend him. Go ahead.
Oh God, now I have a rant because I agree with you.
Good.
I think
so. Like a big part of the space that I get to be in for pop culture too is tabletop role playing games. I mostly play superheroes. They're usually teenage superheroes. So this kind of fits also too. And so we play this game called Masks: A New Generation. It's very heavily based off of tropes that would be very recognizable for like teenage superheroes, right? A lot of it's based off of like things like Young Justice, right?
Mm-hmm.
My like it's kind of like there are like mind control powers or emotion manipulation and things like that in the game. It's kind of an altogether across the board thing in our community for people to never take that power, right? And like, and it's the whole thing is because it feels gross. We've seen too many people in comics abuse it. When has there ever been a psychic who was like outright like not questioned for their actions, right?
Yeah.
Like I can't think of a good psychic.
Maybe Danny Moonstar. Technically, she has a psychic power.
Yeah. That's
but it's such a limited. Yeah, once you get to like I'm actually telepathic.
Yeah,
all bets are off.
Yeah, she's a little more. I'm trying to think. She's a little more empathic than just full on psychic.
Yeah,
like that's where it's like. I think that might be the line.
Who's the freaking guy in space that like was it Star Fox or something like that can like put out pheromones and you like him now?
Yeah, Thanos' brother.
Gambit.
Well, no, because he has subtle. What is it like? Subtle psychic charm or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're saying Gambit does or Star Fox?
Gambit.
Yeah.
Gambit does.
Yeah. We learned that from the Series 2 trading card, folks. Until that point, no one had any idea. They wrote that in the card, and now it's canon and it's in our heads.
Yeah. Why don't?
Hey, he was charming in the cartoon show. Okay, that's why I liked it.
It's not a mutant power. You're just hot. It's fine, dude.
That's a pretty mutant power right there.
Yeah.
Mutant power. Fuckable. Emma
if everyone
Frost,
had it,
literally,
it'd be called a majority power.
Oh, now you're gonna start bringing up Stacey X and the whole again back to Chuck Offs and stuff. Like,
they've done a lot of work recently, some lifting to clean that up. So
yeah.
I do have one question for Jason regarding the tabletop role playing. So if you're doing teenage superheroes, so none of your characters' parents have ever been alive, have they?
Well, okay, so I have some of the artwork over here as well too. I was showing it to you beforehand. Yeah. So this guy, so this is no, I gotta get it out of the mirror. There you go. Okay, so Steel Spectre, both his mom and dad are alive.
What?
But I based
Bad hero.
I based this character on what if Colossus and Kitty Pryde had a kid, but then it was Kitty Pryde who had
twisted the knife on that storyline.
Yeah. So then it's Kitty Pryde who has the metal powers, and then Colossus who has the phasing powers. And what if Colossus was a bad guy?
When is he a good guy?
I like what you've done here. I like what you've done.
Yeah. So and then the Unrivaled, who's down here as well. His mom and dad are alive and very mean to him. Who else? Who else have I played? Yeah, most of the time at least one parent is alive.
Wow.
Yeah, at least one.
When you say you're basing off Young Justice, I just think of all the Robins. So it's just like, yep, dead.
Robins.
Dead,
yeah, it's a prerequisite that you can't have parents.
Yeah,
I think you might need to catch up on the current episodes of Young Justice because there are some good parenting moments in there.
From their actual
Beyond
parents?
the Grave.
Yes.
Oh fuck.
Ghost parents. I also just realized Batman and Professor X have maybe a little too much in common.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. Now I got to hear your.
You know what it is
for this?
It's
They're
the money.
militarizing teenagers whose parents don't
The
want
money
them
will make them do
or
all
them.
evil things.
And the money. And the money.
Gentlemen, we are getting into the third episode of this podcast.
I'm very sorry.
No, it's okay. I think it's we just have a good topic that we want to keep going on. But I did want to
have like 6 episodes from this one.
Yeah, this is something that came to me while we were talking. Where do we see the show going forward from here?
Yeah.
In terms of, and my first headspace is, do we see them adapting storylines as they go? So do we get an Onslaught storyline? Do we get a 12 story for those who read the 12, or like, are there extra stories that you want? I'm just saying, like, we have Apocalypse, we've got Cable, we have characters that are there that are necessary. Do we get Age of Apocalypse? What do they mind for stories, and what would you like to see moving forward?
This is a great question. Can you ask too many questions?
I think those two separate questions. I think what we will see and what we'd like to see.
Fair enough.
Since I'm rambling, I'm going to jump in first. I would like to see them adapt some of the other stories, especially as we've gotten past kind of the 90s pouches and grimdark. As we go into the 2000s and 2010s, I think there's a lot of good stuff there. I would like to see them do something bold, like just maybe kill off Professor X.
Do you have any titles, or just do you have any titles to reference here, or like recommended readings, essentially? Like, hey, for the viewers, recommended, like, because you're saying like just take bold moves, like. But is that in line with anything? Jason, I think you have a point you're ready to go with.
Yeah. See, because I'm right now, I don't think they should go safe, right? You have a built-in base. Let's go hard, right? Give me like stuff like X of Swords. Give me stuff like give me House of M. Like, don't be safe about any of this stuff, right? Give me start it with No More Mutants. I don't care at this point.
Do the Morrison run. That's a great place to start. Give
just
me
without
Cassandra
the leather.
Nova fucking shit up. What's up?
Without the leather, though?
No, more leather.
Oh, God.
Now, here's the problem.
SMM catalog is all you need.
This got into traditional intercourse again, you guys.
As we needed to. I think they just spam the nostalgia button.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I think it's just a continuation of those 90s storylines. And I don't even know if we get to an Onslaught, or we just get like, hey, remember when?
I'm kind of curious, because we did actually get we had X-Men the continuity continue with a comic book. It had about a 10-issue run, and it didn't go for too long. So it's like they were trying to hit that nostalgia button for just the direct fans, and it didn't quite pay off. And they try to do similar stories with X-Men. I believe it was X-Men Legends, but I'm trying to recall the title, because it was Chris Claremont came back and said, this is the story that I was going to do before Jim Lee essentially took over the book. And
I can't remember the name. I mean, X-Men do this all the time. Like that whole, like you said, the whole X-Men Legends series is that like older former creators coming back and filling in the blanks on things they wanted to do that can still fit in continuity.
Yeah.
I don't even think we get, and this may just be, it's a little later at night for me, and I'm somewhat jaded to the world right now. I just can't see a world where they're like, oh, and here's Excalibur and we're going to run with them for a little bit. I can see a world where the newest character that gets introduced is Psylocke, but the problematic Psylocke.
Oh,
ooh,
I know.
So no Adam X the Extreme.
I were lucky.
Okay,
that's how you end it.
You know we need in this
X.
Yeah.
He threw up the X. That's the best part.
You know who we need in this for happiness? Chamber. Let's get him in.
Nope.
And now Kareem just cuts to Sean Patrick Scott in the back of the card. Nope. No, I'm sorry. That's it's
no, hell no. I'm interested to see first off what the art style is going to be like. If they go to the cheap Saban route, or I mean, now that they have all the monies in the world, do they go with the original artwork? And if they go with an entirely different style, and I think that would play into the types of stories we get, to be honest with you. I think if they go for the more mature artwork style, that you're opening up the door for more mature storylines. I mean, again, they're trying to scratch an itch, the nostalgia button for 40-year-olds. So I don't know if we're necessarily going to get the campy 90s stuff that still plays like it did when we were children. Like, that line that Cyclops says at the beginning, like we were just talking about it, that night of the Sentinels. I'm like, as a 40-year-old, I don't know if that's gonna work.
We would all clap if they tried to pull that again. Like, everybody on this podcast, not.
Don't have a cow, man. I think they've showed the art style will be a simplified style for animation, and it's going to tie. It'll feel in vein with some of the original art style, but updated a little bit, just a little cleaner. David Nakayama covers for the X-Men 95 series, I believe it was.
It reminded. Sorry, please go.
No, you're good.
I was gonna say it reminded me of like if you took the original art style and then used Wolverine and the X-Men as a skin over it a little bit, just kind of the way they updated it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're still getting blue, the yellow and blue tiger stripe Wolverine.
Oh,
we're still getting that at least to start, because that's what they're showing us.
Still very heavy Jim Lee centric.
Yeah, although they did pull down Rogue's hair, which I think is more just an animation thing. Is that it's not that big southern puff of hair.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like a little bit later 90s, maybe ponytail, and like I think that's largely because of the art style stuff and just the difficulties of animation. It's why Jean Grey had a ponytail as opposed to her normal red locks as well. So yeah.
Well, also that was never combat ready.
Yeah. I mean, and Rogue was bulletproof, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah. And Storm's up in the air shooting lightning and shit. Nobody's even getting close to her. It's fine.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I would like to actually see them do is it the House of M? It was where the mutants disappear?
It's after House of M, but yeah, House of M is that'd be a crazy. I mean, I'd be on board for that. Like that's in the subsequent years, we've had a fair amount of animated movies from Marvel where they've been like, we can do what DC does, but just as good, and they've met with varying degrees of positivity. Mm-hmm. And that's a fantastic story, especially because it's very heavily X-Men focused, and that'd be very cool to see for me.
Well, I mean, I feel like it would also help center that world that we already kind of were introduced to. I mean, the show is basically like the same 7 to 12 X-Men that we were kind of following at any time, and then it would be like random mutants in protest or random mutants that what were the people that lived underground, the
Morlocks,
stuff like that you rarely come into contact with. But I mean, it never seemed like the world was abundant with them. It was always like they were a very minority group that was always being hunted. So I'm like, if you start off with that, you can still focus on the same 7 to 12, but now there's their consequences have much more. I mean, their actions have much more greater consequences because there's less of them.
Allow the team to expand a little bit, and cycle some out. Like give us some consequences and repercussions to these actions.
Plus, then you can actually start playing around with, and that was the kind of last question I had for this on the thread, was if any of this ties back into the greater MCU.
Oh, No.
Okay. I think they keep it separate.
It's a pipe dream all of us want, right? Like
Gotcha.
it's a pipe dream, but then as we add although I want it, like as a fan, as a professional, I understand that like you're putting too many cooks in the kitchen.
I think we're still
and I
at
only
least a
asked that
phase
because
away from mutants in the MCU.
Okay, I was only asking that because you do have some crossover with some characters and how they're represented currently, even in animated form, versus what you could show them in, like, you know, Captain Marvel or something like that, which you can show them in the X-Men series.
Okay, because we did get a Carol Danvers episode with her in the cartoon.
Yeah,
not necessarily like a full portrayal, but it was like she was visually there, and that's kind of like what we touched on that before. Like we had a Black Panther cameo, we had Spider-Man cameos, we had moments where that crossed over. I don't think. I think it would stay more just in the vein of the X-Men cartoon purview, just because it's the easy. Like otherwise, it is just kind of like you're trying to get too many things, too many cooks in the kitchen. You're trying to get too much, you know.
Gotcha.
I'd wager we do get those cameos from the larger MCU, though.
I wouldn't. I mean, if we get a Wolverine flashback and then we've got Captain America there, like they did that in the X-Men Evolution. Yeah. And that's another thing we didn't get a chance to talk to you about, is that this is just a continuation. It's not a reboot where it's like we've had other cartoons and other iterations of stories like X-Men Evolution, which was really good. And then we've had Wolverine and the X-Men, and we've had chances to get different stories from the X-Men that have changed with time. Whereas with this, it's a straightforward continuation. It's going to be a very different thing, where even with Batman the Animated Series and the DC animated universe, they had to go off into other shows. You went to Superman, you went to Justice League, and they had to evolve over time. So eventually you did get to the Batman and Harley Quinn movie, but there was a thread there that was followed.
Given that they're picking up in 97, I'm just so excited to see how they handle the boy band craze.
Oh man. Because we did. Oh, see, now you're making me go back to the stuff of like, oh yeah, we had Poptopia, where Chamber was hooking up with a pop star Britney Spears, and that's where my brain went, because there was that moment where they're like, oh, mutants are like pop stars, they're celebrities, so that a Christina Aguilera would want to hang out with one just to be seen as part of an influencer. So, but then again, though, it's 97, so it's just going to be, you know, Boy Nudo and
Boy
Nudo. New Kids on the Menudo.
It was no, it's a Simpsons reference, because it's New Kids on the Block, and they do the kid this, like Bart's a part of a boy band.
Sensation. And I'm the Mac Daddy behind such groups as New Kids in the Ditch and Boy Nudo. I'm gonna make you stars.
Yeah, I forget that 97 is actually where they can pick up from, because that changes a lot of stuff. Then
everybody's got a pager.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Oh my goodness. Are they're and only cell phones are just the Zach Morris brick phones? They're just
they're the ones in the car for drug dealers.
Fair enough.
With the wires still connected.
We're gonna see Professor X in he's gonna have one built into his chair.
Oh yeah. Well, he's got the floating CR chair, so that's not that big a deal. But
he's a telepath. He doesn't need a phone.
He does it just because he can. He does it just because he can.
What? Yeah.
I was gonna say.
Also, remember, Professor X. It is never expressed to the world he's a mutant in the show, is it?
Oh, in the show, I don't,
because he didn't come out as a mutant in the comics until Morrison, and only because Cassandra Nova took over and made him.
That's true.
This fucking hypocrite.
Yeah, this closeted mutant.
We could do a long episode on how Professor X is a piece.
Oh, we're going to.
That's not.
This is going to be after the Power Rangers movie episode. So
yes,
Power
Ranger movie leads directly into why Professor X sucks.
I feel like when you were saying that he does it because he could, I feel like it was like that scene from Bowfinger where he has the cell phone, or he has a phone with the wire just hanging out. That's what Professor X is doing. He's got a phone that doesn't actually work, but he's talking to you in your own head.
He's got friends.
He's got nobody. That's why he plays with all of his students. Fucking weirdo.
Oof.
I mean, fair.
Jason, where can people find you?
Oh God.
Find and follow.
Hopefully not the Xavier School for the Gifted.
Not the Xavier School for the Gifted. All right. So I'm Jason Patrick Gallett, also known as JPG. You can find me on social media at JPG, which is JAEPEAGE.
Yeah, he makes it very difficult.
It's because, and I literally just explained this at Comic-Con a few weeks ago. It's because social media outlets don't let you have 3 letters
anymore.
Yeah. So like NPH or Neil Patrick Harris, he had to specifically go to Instagram and like ask them to do that. Yeah. So
I wonder if it's the association from like the serial killers from the 70s. Too many
names.
Just too many 3-letter.
All these 3 named people.
Yeah.
Like Lee Harvey Oswald, that kind of thing.
There you go.
Yeah, right.
They didn't want to keep all 3.
Yeah.
Yes, but that's where you can find me.
Well,
okay.
Yeah. Cool.
How about yourself, Ken? Let's go down the list.
That was a thing. This is not our normal thing. So you can find me at Ken Rollo. Also check out archives of at Comic Banter for a podcast that may return ? Find out. What if? I don't know.
How about you, Pat?
Well, you can find me at on Twitter and I believe Instagram at Patrick_Canelo. That blog story behind that. And also, if you look into your heart, I'll be there.
Wait. So Patrick was the X-Men we found along the way?
Yep. Yeah.
Always and forever.
He's also a psychic, so you can't trust him.
No. Fair enough.
Yes, but I'm gonna make you think you can trust me.
Oh no,
psychic.
Oh, he's in my head. Oh no,
gotcha, sucker.
Oh no.
Wait, why do I suddenly love Adam Warlock so much?
Because he's the bomb.
Oh, that's right. He is the bomb.
Yes.
It's a magical place.
He's not.
God, stupid.
Worse than Cyclops.
Well, this is gonna be a fight. Just Kareem, give your spiel.
You can find me in Mindhead1 on Twitter, and Kareem Anderson on Instagram, but there's nothing posted, so don't go looking.
And where do we follow the podcast?
More importantly, we're all over the internet. You can really just type in Tangential Giants, and we should be the first search because I do a lot of SEO. So that's up there. You can also find us at Spotify. Get the podcast audio on Spotify, Apple Music, and all the other places. And if you want to watch this, which is also its own little adventure, we're on YouTube, and maybe we'll expand to Twitch or something when I can find some time.
Oh, real quick, please rate or review us. We
that is a thing.
5-star review. I always
want
to
that,
say
Dixon. Smash that subscribe button somewhere on the screen.
Hit the bell icon to be notified when new episodes go live.
Do all the social media stuff.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you, guys.